Okay, we will start slowly. We have now around about 90 attendance here in the webinar. And if you have some questions in between, down below you will find the Q&A box. Just type in your question and we will have, after the webinar, a small Q&A part where we will discuss your questions. Or if it fits directly into this topic right now and we will have time, we can also answer it immediately if you want. So yeah, welcome and thank you for joining the broadcast webinar. Today we will present you a really cool solution about super slow motion and the controlling of a super slow motion with a really cool camera. And with us today we have two of our partners. It's DreamChip. For DreamChip, Stefane will talk to you. And he is the director of sales at DreamChip. And on the other hand, we will have Pierre. Pierre's the vice president for pre-sales and channel partners at SimplyLive. And last but not least, we will have JP from Broadcast Solution UK, and he will also have a really quick talk about the integration of the system. And my name is Andre, and I'm the from Broadcast Solution, and I'm the sales manager for the German-speaking market. I will get started with our presentation. So hopefully everybody can see the presentation now. And as I mentioned, we are from Broadcast Solutions and we are around about over 150 people at the moment. We have more than 15 years experience in the broadcast business and have offices of 14 offices around the world and delivered more than 400 projects now, and with a total sales in the group of more than 60 million. Broadcast Solutions has a lot of entities and offices worldwide, and here you can have a quick look at the main entities and offices. And we have now in Russia, Singapore, Ukraine, some new entities with exciting projects running there. And now I can show you our diagram, and here the people at Broadcast Solutions are very unique, and we are focused on every person here in the group because we have a lot of experience, and everybody in the group has a big role here. And with all the people, we have some key facts like we are trustful, reliable, industry credibility, we are innovative and open-minded. Open communication to the customers is very important for us, and confidence and courage. All this together leads to three key facts: that we are very innovative, collaborative, and focused towards our customers, to be able to enable the vision of our customers, so that we all know there are a lot of vendors, manufacturers out there. They have advantages and disadvantages, but we always focus on the advantages and try to create with all these products a new solution. And that's why we are here today. We have two strong partners, DreamChip and SimplyLive. They have a really good products in their own field, and with these two we combined them to a really unique new solution for super slow motion. You can see some of our biggest OB-WAN projects. We are in public TV stations. We also do projects for governmental communications, and you have some overviews of the OB-vans we have built already. But not only OB-vans, we are also doing broadcast fixed facilities. So we are building playout centers, we building studios and all the technical equipment behind the scenes. This is also a really cool project where we are also building virtual reality studios, which are here you can see in Finland for the sports league, and we also consult them and build the assets for these customers as well. Let's go to the next slide. And before we go with DreamChip, we would like to show you a small video to have a closer, a better look what we are doing. Yeah. Sieht man nicht? Okay. So thank you for watching, and now you have a small overview of what we are doing. And in the last part of the video, you see the SimplyLive VBox and also the camera SSM 500. And you see some really amazing footage. And Stefan, can you tell me or tell us more about how you take these shots?
Yeah, sure, Andre. So those last shots have been taken and shoot a few weeks ago in Hamburg, Germany. And that was shot with our SSM 500 prototype with a really basic C-mount lens on it. And as you've seen, the picture are already amazing. I will explain that later, but you know that we have also the before option on the camera, and that should bring us even better pictures. So I hope that it's going to be even better than what you've seen, which is already good. So just shot with the SSM 500 with some outdoor places in Hamburg.
Okay, cool, nice. So then we can go through the DreamChip slide if you want now.
Okay, yeah, let's start, Andre. Thank you. Let me maybe start, Andre, with really a big thank you to Broadcast Solution to organize this webinar for two reasons. The first reason is that Broadcast Solution is a high-level system integrator. You also distribute products. People at Broadcast Solution are really good experienced technicians, but also very nice people. So at DreamChip, we are really happy to have you among our partners because we really like this combination together. That's the first reason. And the second reason is at DreamChip, we really believe that this combination between SimplyLive and DreamChip makes really sense and will bring really a fantastic cost-effective but efficient solution to the market. So I will try to explain you that during the webinar, to explain you this value proposition that we can bring together. But I guess with that, we need to start with the beginning, which is who is DreamChip? So let's start with that. So DreamChip is a German-based company. We have 3 branches in Germany. The main headquarters are in Garbsen, Hanover. We are around 100 engineers. So that's really an engineering company. Most of the projects we have are really focused on industrial projects, automotive projects. So it's always about sensors and picture quality, obviously. And a few years ago, we launched at IBC our own products with our name on it. And it's quite successful since. Maybe you can change the slide. Thank you. So what do we do? It's 2 range of products. One is about camera. That's really the subject of today webinar. And another subject is the streaming solution that we have with the Barracuda. But let's focus on the camera first. Next one, please. Okay, so the range of camera we have at DreamChip is quite large, actually. So we are really into the mini cameras, the POV, the smaller cameras, the specialty camera. So SSM 500, this new slow motion from us is definitely part of the family. We are having 8 different models in the range, starting from very small camera, like the Atom 1 Mini Air, which is only 3 centimeters by 1.8 centimeters. So that's super small. To 4K camera with the 4K Mini 7, 11, 16. They are all HDR, which is really important nowadays in a broadcast workflow. So we are fully HLG and PQ compliant. And of course, we are SDI, even if we are really small. We are a broadcast camera with a high level picture quality. Can you go to the next one? Thank you. So when I was speaking about the picture quality, I really meant it. So here we were comparing the Atom 1 camera, which is our bestseller camera in global shutter camera, with this Sony HDC 2400, which is really popular. We are comparing a camera that is 20 times cheaper. So don't get me wrong, we don't want to replace the Sony cameras, of course. We are just saying that when the place is tiny, when you need POV camera on players, referee, where size matters, then that's where DreamChip is coming. And the most difficulty in broadcast is really to match with the main cameras. And with the, we have our own video processing within the camera. That's what you see here. And this video processing that is totally in-house, that's our intellectual property, goes really, really far. Like we have multi-matrix. So multi-matrix is secondary correction. Because we have in those small cameras an integrated CCU. And those multi-matrix really help to match with any other camera. So when the director cuts the camera to our camera, you don't notice the difference with the main camera. So that's the idea of this explanation. So it's really broadcast quality camera, very small, but broadcast quality.
Stefan, we have a question from
Yeah.
one of the viewers. Do you have cameras with directly IP outputs?
So direct IP, so I guess that they are speaking about video IP. So video IP, not at the moment, but that's definitely on the roadmap. I would say not at the moment because the camera are so small that we don't have the place to get an RG45 connector on it. So we would need to make them a little bit bigger, but that's definitely a trend of broadcast. So yes, that's definitely a subject at DreamChip. The SSM 500 is actually the first step to go there, because you'll see, we can switch on the next slide. Maybe that's a good introduction for the next slide. So that's the SSM 500. As you can see at the back of the camera, there's an RG45 connector. So we have the first step, it's the IP control. So this camera will be the first IP control camera at DreamChip. And that's definitely the first step towards video on IP. So that's a subject we have. Again, come back to us if you have really question about that, broadcast solution or DreamChip. We will answer you for that, but that's a subject. So back to the SSM 500. So that's our latest high-speed camera that we have in the range. Two modes, SSM and trigger mode. I will explain that in the workflow just after. HDR, as I was saying, really small. The dimension, as you can see, are really small for what it can do. And we have, thank you to put the second slide, the next slide. You can see that we have two different versions. One is C mount and the other one is B4 mount. So we have two independent camera here. So the C mount version is definitely meant to be used in the field like a POV camera behind the goals on the pole cam, on the gimbal, really that kind of application. And we believe that the picture quality of the SSM 500 is so good that combined with a B4 mount, that can really put in the place as a main position camera. So with the B4, you can, of course, connect very good quality lenses, but also zoom lenses, which makes sense for slow motion, because the idea of slow motion, of course, is to get the very fine detail in the picture. So you really need to go and zoom in the picture to get that emotion and to get that details. So B4 will be a fantastic model for the SSM 500.
Okay, so we have another question from Dimitrios. When shooting at 500 frames per second, how is the iris really affected in regard to f-stops?
Yeah, so definitely high-speed camera is really light sensitive, as you can imagine. I mean, closing the shutter 500 times per second takes a very tiny amount of light. So light sensitivity is super important. We are using the latest high-speed sensor generation in that camera. So light sensitivity is really amazing. We are still testing it in the lab to get really good numbers. But really, that's the best camera we had in the lab so far. So it's really sensitive. Of course, a normal speed camera will be more sensitive. But I don't see any troubles, even if you get low light conditions, to make fantastic footage. So sensitivity is really, really great on that camera.
Okay, thank you. So you already mentioned the workflow. So we have learned about the specs from the camera. Now, can you tell us more about the workflow with the cameras?
Yeah, sure. So on the next slide, you'll see first maybe application in the field of the camera. So that's really about, of course, reality TV show. Sports is of course the most used application of the camera. Esports also is becoming so much popular that they are using also super slow motion camera there. news. So news is the combination of the camera, but also with the Barracuda. So this streaming solution that I was speaking before. Entertainment, so concert, live concert. We used to broadcast live recently a live church organ concert from Hamburg on YouTube recently every week, and cinema application. But really about the workflow. So on the next slide, you'll see two different modes. The first mode is a normal high-speed camera. So that's the usual way of recording in the camera memory itself, up to 500 frames per second in HDR during 60 seconds. So the internal memory is quite long. And then you have a clean live output and a replay output. How do you control that? It's because of broadcast solution integration, because on our side, we want to be control agnostic. So we have an open protocol that anybody can get. But then you guys at Broadcast Solution have combined really, I think, the best elements to make a very nice combination. So we are compatible with different RCP and slow motion remote. So like here, you can see the SimplyLive remote. So in this case, it's high speed. So you record internally, you reach 500 frames per second, and then you have 60 seconds of recording. But on the next slide, that's really where this combination makes sense. In this case, we are really doing super slow motion. So really like those usual camera in the field, 2 times, 3 times camera. So here we can go up to 4 times with the VBox from SimplyLive. So in this case, what we do is pushing 4 phases to the VBox, and everything is recorded there. So nothing is recorded in the camera anymore. So that means that you can replay anything at any time in slow motion. So you are not limited by the internal memory anymore, and everything is recorded slow motion. So that means that for a football match, for instance, you can go back anytime in the first halftime, for instance, and make slow motion. So for referee, to get nice highlights clips, or a wonderful smile from the trainer or whatever, so you can really catch that, and you can go back anytime, so you don't miss any emotion anymore. So that's where this combination with SimplyLive really makes sense, I guess.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, thank you for the overview of the camera and DreamChip. You already teased SimplyLive and the VBox a little bit, so I think we should switch to Pierre now from SimplyLive. Hi, Pierre. Now we just have seen the camera and what the camera can do. So can you tell us more about the synergy between the camera and the VBox?
Sure. So basically, just a reminder for the one who doesn't know yet who SimplyLive is. So we are a global company headquartered in Hong Kong. We have multiple offices worldwide, and we manufacture and we develop disruptive solution for TV creation and content creation. We develop it in a way, in an architectures which is very flexible, mainly across software pieces. We just leverage hardware for specific I/O capabilities, and in terms of I/O, it could be SDI here, with which we are integrated with the DreamChip camera, but also NDI and other IP protocols. So we are very flexible in terms of I/O. About the company, we started in 2016. We are close to 30 people today, and we are quite an old team of experienced people with experience on the broadcast market. Next slide, please. So we are active in multiple markets, mainly sports hobby, also repurposing program and doing some downstream turnaround. We have also solution for live studio and studio recording and stream to post-production, but also video review and every tools dedicated for the refereeing. the architectures is quite key in what we propose. So we have one platform which leverage common backend software, and this software is running on several hardware options. Basically, you select your hardware option depending the density of channel you need for your production. You can use one specific hardware with a couple of channels for a small production, and you can ramp up to a big production with a 16 channel, or you can even network hardware together to create a large multi-channel production. Then the common backend is the centerpiece and will serve the different application layer which are tailored for specific usage, either an all-in-one production system containing audio mixing, video mixing, graphics insertion, replay, highlight, or a pure highlight and replay slow motion client. A pure review capabilities under the VBox set of clients, which are used for different sports, including the VAR for the soccer, and then the BMR, which is the multipurpose recording tools to record content for post-production and archive. So basically, you choose your hardware depending the density of your production, and then you run the right application layer according the type of usage you want to do. Next slide, please. So, what is the specificity of SimplyLive? With the multiple hardware capabilities, we can create a very affordable solution which can be used from tier 3 up to tier 1 with the same kind of software. You just activate the license for the clients you want to use. We have multiple hardware with multiple capabilities. It's reliable. It's also, we ensure that up-to-date components are available because we develop mainly on software and relying on customer off-the-shelf components. Each hardware can support either a single client or a multiple client at the same times. It's very flexible. You can network the server together and you can run multiple type of client or different client simultaneously. You can do a real production and you can do a replay and referee system at the same time, leveraging the same server. We pay strongly attention to the user interface. We leverage touchscreen and ad hoc remote control. Next slide, please. Something which has been done since the beginning of the company is to pay attention of the way we develop our backend software, to make it as flexible as possible to cope with the different environment of production, which now we know are various, not only local, traditional on-premise production, but partly remotely or completely remotely, straight from a direct fiber or direct connectivity, or through the cloud. So at SimplyLive, we pay attention to the structure of the software, which can cope with this different production environment and which can serve the different connectivity options. Obviously, the camera here in SDI is one of these connectivity options, but we can also receive IP stream and we can also operate the entire platform from the cloud. I will talk to that later. Next slide. Here I give you two small examples of simple scenario leveraging the SimplyLive VBox, the Mini on your left and the VBox on your right. So typically you have a server recording live camera feeds, you dedicated a certain amount of output, you have a touch screen to operate the all-in-one production. All it's connected to a simple network, one gigi network, and you have access to the graphics and the audio mixing engine, which is connected to the server. Is the perfect scenario for small production or downstream turnaround. Then we have on your right a little bigger scenario leveraging an 8-channel or a 16-channel box, which can be operated by 1, 2, or up to 3 users, each of them having some specific access to the different resource of the server, having access to all the camera. in this particular example, you have a more advanced audio integration using Dante network to create more advanced audio submixing. Next slide. So these are pretty simple scenario. This is another slide showing multi-user on-location operation. In this scenario, it's a very legacy workflow where all the equipment and the operator are on site at the venue. So the server recording, replaying, doing the directing of the show, the vision mixer, and integrating external graphics tools. But now, and with the COVID-19 crisis, we've seen an emerging demand and high demand of remote operation. And the next slide will show you one of the capability of SimplyLive to answer this remote production. First, we have to talk about the network, obviously. So when I was talking about the scalability and the density of channel that we can manage, we are not just only linked to the density of one server. We can link several servers together to create a large network of input and output. We virtualize the total amount of camera and output, and the operator only have to manage some layout and prepare the layout the way they want. So they are not tied to anything physical, it's completely virtual. And this network is available on-premise, but it's also scalable and available in the cloud. Next slide. So the first level of remote operation I was talking about is leveraging technology to move away the GUI, the operational side, from the venue up to the home or to a broadcast center or to any kind of facility. So basically, we add a gateway next to the server, and the goal of this gateway is to take everything's required to create a client application and push it to the distant operation in very low latency and with very high quality of video. So basically, you have on-site only the big physical infrastructures like the speed rack of equipment with the audio mixer, with the server, with some storage and so on. And you only send the client to a small computer on the client side where they can operate distantly. And they have also access to a web multi-viewer and to the program as well. So they have multiple people from the production can access all the camera at any time. I see some question. I will just make a quick pause to answer some of them. Do you have plans to support the NDI protocol? We completely support the NDI protocol. We support the NDI protocol for the camera, but also for the graphics layer, okay? And also we support the NDI as an output. Maybe during the QA session, I will be able to show my interface here. And I'm here in the studio in our Belgian office. And basically, the output of the VBox can be seen also in NDI. So NDI is definitely a yes. What is the recording data rate when using an external recorder? Maybe I will come back later to this one. Maybe I don't understand.
Yeah, maybe it's I think it's for the DreamChip camera.
Yeah, I think it's for the DreamChip camera.
Because I think I've seen those questions raising when I was speaking. So, but we can maybe answer that later.
Okay. So next slide. Then after this hybrid operation between hardware on site and operation away, we have pure cloud-based or private or public cloud-based remote operation. So basically, we leverage our software. We install them on a virtual machine. Everything's are running in optimized instance for the backend, for the audio mixing, for the video mixing, for the clients. We handle all the different features like we do on a traditional setup. So you have everything, video mixing, audio mixing. You have also the MIDI controller away, you can operate distantly. So basically, in cloud-based operation, the SimplyLive cloud doesn't affect the level of feature. You have exactly the same level of feature as you would have with a local setup. Obviously, from the cloud, we receive the different feed from local venue gateway. For example, the DreamChip Barracuda, which is supporting SRT, and we are supporting SRT as well. So we can receive SRT stream H.264 into the VBox, start operating distantly, and then we can send back the program either to an OTT distribution platform, keeping in the cloud, or sending back to on Earth on premise with another gateway. So everything is available in the cloud. One question, does SimplyLive support 2110? Yes, we support 2110, absolutely. We have a hardware server which is compatible with 2110, and we can network several server SDI or 2110 together to create an hybrid network of server.
So thank you, Pierre, for the overview of SimplyLive. So now we have seen the slow motion system. Do you have any examples for use cases?
Yes. So obviously, we can leverage the SimplyLive camera in multiple configuration, in 2-phase, 3-phase, or 4-phase. Our server can go up to 8-phase, and I hope we will be able to work with DreamChip to come with an 8-phase soon. So basically, it's a matter of creativity. So in sports, next slide, please. So you have the traditional, I would say, soccer use case, where you could have 2 super slow motion camera near the goal, for example. Due to the size of the camera, you can put it easily on specific position on the field that you cannot do with traditional broadcast grade camera. And here in this drawing, you see that we transparently manage 2 4-phase camera on a VBox 16, leaving some room to have 7 other traditional camera, 1 director operating the switching and the program creation, and 1 slow motion operator that can leverage and do slow motion. At the same time, you see a VBox client, which serve the team and medical or the referee usage, and they can leverage this super slow motion camera as well in the VBox. So this is one example of traditional usage of an SSM camera on soccer, on football. Next slide. In motorsport, this is also something quite interesting to see. Here is a dedicated VBox 8 leveraging 2 SSM camera, one in 4-phase, the other one in 3-phase. So typically here you have a very cost-effective super slow motion with 2 camera and a slow motion operator, which is capable of creating the best highlight of specific position within the race. Next slide. For the tennis, so this is also a use case quite common for such super slow motion camera. So either in 2x, 3x, or 4x. Here you see a VBox 8 for single production, having 4 camera and 1 super slow motion 3-phase.
So we have seen a lot of sports now. Do you have any use cases for other things?
Yes, sure. About here, last one, maybe horse racing. So basically, here it's leveraging also the server to do the live production, but also to give an SSM access to the VBox for the steward to review the finish line, for example. This is typically what we can see here. So it's a bit outside of the pure sports production and the mid-side of the referee. So finish line is something quite interesting using such SSM camera. Okay. Next slide. And for entertainment, you can think about putting some super slow motion camera on stage recording the different, band, drummer, guitarist, and all various position in concert. Next slide. And for TV show also on stage, same kind of workflow. There is some question. Let me just quickly answer to this. How about import-export on Avid system and integration with Avid Interplay? In order to export to Avid Interplay, we leverage also a partner, which is called Woody, which act as a gateway to do real-time ingest into Interplay. And for the non-Interplay environment, we are currently finalizing the OPIATOM and AAF development to do editing on the fly on growing file. Obviously, we already have OP1A for non-on-the-fly editing, and we have on-the-fly editing with Adobe Premiere. Can you please explain how UHD production is done, as what limitation there are? So our server, we have server in UHD, absolutely. So this is just the settings in the server to commute the format in the right UHD flavor and leverage the amount of channel within the box. Obviously, the density in UHD is smaller than the traditional HD. This is the main limitation compared to an HD. Okay, next slide, please.
So that was it for SimplyLive. So thank you, Pierre, for showing us the capability of the VBox and the highly scalable VBox. Now let's talk about the integration part. JP, can you tell us something about the integration side from this solution?
Yeah, thank you, Andre. So I guess when we're talking about integrations, how we're getting if you can just jump to the next slide, Andre, is how we can get the video from the camera to the studio, to the production center. And there's a few ways to do this. One obvious and really good way that we find is using the DreamChip Barracuda. The DreamChip has got multiple video inputs, up to 5. You'll only need 4 for the SSM 500. That's converted either to ASI or to IP, and you can go through a network or run a cable down to, depending on the distance, to your production center. Again, using the Barracuda, you can have a few different options. You can encode the SSM 500, and then you can actually start inputting that into a 3G or 4G modem, like a mobile viewpoint, or there's other brands available, and you can transmit that video over the bonded cellular. The interesting thing with mobile viewpoint is that they've actually got a data input on the remote, on the production end, where you can have your RCP connected as well. All right. I think for this camera, something that's going to be really interesting for people is to have a wireless super slow motion camera angle, and this is again very possible with companies like Vislink or DTC. Any wireless provider that can give you a quad HD, generally out of their 4K range. Quad HD input, and we can transmit that over generally a 20 megahertz spectrum, and all of a sudden you've got wireless 4K. Both of those companies, by the way, do have wireless control systems as well that we can use to control the iris and everything else from the SSM 500. If you already have a wireless solution, again, the Barracuda can be the encoder. If you don't have a quad HD encode solution, we can use the Barracuda and ASI into any of the wireless systems that you might already own, that might be H.264 from an older generation. When we're talking about sort of remote production, we can look at the ST2110, and typically we've done quite a lot of these, and I can see this getting a lot more popular. And we'll interface with a Nevion type system, use their encoding engine, and for a full wireless remote production facility. Again, the Barracuda does have SRT, if we're just looking for an SRT pipe from the venue. Next slide, please, Andre. The control of the system, again, is much like the transportation of the video streams. We've got a lot available to us for remote. But generally speaking, IP converters to 485 or the wireless options will all give us the option to control not only the SSM 500, but also the full Atom range of cameras. Thank you. Next slide, Andre. Now, this is an interesting project that we did. Broadcast Solutions UK has undertaken, is to integrate the SSM 500 into a fully weatherproof, ruggedized, 3-axis gyro stabilized mount. This obviously lends itself to quite a few applications, mostly in the sporting world, I guess. But some of the key features of this are that it has got an up to 40 times zoom lens. It is gyro stabilized. It's got options for wireless as well. So if you see the antennas in there, we can fit in a Vislink type or a DTC type wireless solution. We've also got the option, we represent Silvus IP mesh. And if we wanted to use create a wireless IP network using the SSM 500, we've got that option as well. Quick release base, hot swappable batteries all included, and this is fully customizable as well, right? So if you come to us and you need something slightly different, this is built to order, and we've got lots of options available for this. So please do get in touch. Thank you, Andre.
Thank you, JP. So this leads us to the Q&A part. We still have some questions open, but let's start with the latest question from Erna. If we want to do a live broadcast from the field, but in the field there's no Wi-Fi and even the cellular network is weak, what solution can be provided? Is the question.
Well, I think I can answer that. Look, it all depends on when you're saying from the field, how far that field is. At Broadcast Solutions, we represent companies like Silvus, who we do almost a private IP network, which is completely wireless. And we can extend that range for kilometers. So we've done productions that's been about 40 miles away for sailing races. So all of that is possible with wireless technology. COFTM radio is another good option, but yeah, there's a few options to do something where you don't have any Wi-Fi or cellular network. Every application is slightly different. So if you've got something like that, please get in touch.
Okay, thank you. So we have one question left from Steve. I think it's to Stefan. Stefan, what's the data rate for recording when we're using an external recorder?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's for me indeed.
Yeah.
There's a lot of answers to that question actually, because with the SSM 500, you have the two workflows I've explained. So the trigger modes, so you are recording internally in the memory. So the limitation is 60 seconds, and it's up to 500 frames per second maximum. When you do that, you can, of course, replay the files using the SDI output at the normal live frame rate, so 50 or 60 frames per second. So if you are recording 500 frames per second, it will take 10 times to replay the slow motion. But you can also address the camera through this IP connector to retrieve the files also in the memory. So I would say that the recording data rates what we are recording is really the live SDI, no compression. So there's no really recording data rates, but we can make files and retrieve them on the in the camera itself. And when it's combined with SimplyLive VBox, then the recording data rate depends of the dimension of the SSD drive or recorders inside the SimplyLive box. So I would say that there's no really limits for that. And when we are recording ourselves, we do no compression. So that's just the data from the sensor, and that's it. So.
Okay, so we talked about all the technical specs, but can you tell us something about the cost efficiency from the system?
Yes, of course. So we really believe that we do a really affordable solution. I don't see any competition at that price. So just to say it clearly, so I really think that it's really cost effective, but really really efficient too. So that's really important. The picture quality, the everything is like the usual product at DreamChip. So you really pay for what you get in the right way. So I believe it's really cost effective. I see that the question is coming with global shutter. So indeed, the camera is global shutter. So it's a full 2/3 inch global shutter. So live, or it's the same sensor. So it's global shutter, which is super important for slow motion. So we don't do rolling shutter for the slow motion. Regarding the sensitivity, as I've explained before, we don't have the final numbers, but I can tell you that it's one of the most sensitive high-speed camera on the market. So really in low light conditions, I mean, reaching 150 and certainly 300 frames per second shouldn't be a problem. So don't get me wrong, don't shoot in a black box, but definitely with a little bit of light, that should be no problem. So that's really sensitive. What kind of IP standard are supported on the DreamChip camera? So at the moment, nothing. The SSM500 is the first step into the IP world. It's just for the control, so you can control the camera using an IP connection. But we are getting there for sure. So that's the first step. We are thinking of NDI, of course, maybe RTP, SRT streams. As you know, Pierre and GP has mentioned the Barracuda. Maybe I should leave it in front of me. So that small box can ingest up to 5 cameras. So actually, how can I say that? The infrastructure, the components inside the SSM500 are similar of what we have in the Barracuda. So we have really the power and the resources to make it really IP, and we could stream right from the camera at some point. But that's not something we are working on at the moment, just to be clear. We have the SDK from NDI, so that's really a subject at DreamChip. But really what we want to finalize is really the camera. So the camera will be available now in June in the C-mount, for the C-mount version, and summer for the B4. So we are assembling the first units at the moment at the factory. We do the quality checks, and we should be able to send the first unit within the months. So that's the idea.
Okay. So, but for the cost of the system, I think everybody can also get in contact with us, and we will consult everybody and give them a quote about that. So there's also a question about the light flickering compensation. Can you?
Yeah. So definitely, I mean, really honestly, and hopefully most of the actual stadium in Europe are really well equipped for the lighting. So it's more and more LED lighting. So with LED lighting, we don't really get the problem. But for the countries where you still get the regular AC/DC lighting, where you can really see this AC curve because of the slow motion, we have a deflicker. So that's a product that we have. It's going to be like an external deflicker, but we have the product on the shelf. So if it really makes sense to some of the customer that really fight with flickering, we have a solution that works already. So it's already sold for a few years actually, and working already all over the world. So we have a solution for that. And I see another question with the resolution of the chips. So for the SSM 500, that's a 2/3 inch sensor, full HD, so 1080p HDR. But with cameras like this one, so that's a 4K camera. You see the size, it's really small. That's a 1-inch sensor size, global shutter in 4K. That's live, it's not slow motion, that one. So, but if I compare it to the very small one, so you can really see the size, which is really incredibly small, because it's like 3 centimeters on 1.8 centimeters. And that one is a rolling shutter. It's a rolling shutter, full HD, 1080p, 60 HDR as well. So we have the 4K, and we have the so that's the biggest one we have in our range. So you can see that it's really small, and that's the smallest one we have in our range.
Perfect. So we have a question about the configuration for the VBox server. So maybe let's switch to Pierre.
Yes. So I don't know if you can see my screen. So here
we can see it.
Okay. So basically here I just opened the configuration of the VBox Mini 8, which I have here. So I set up, as you see here, an SSM 4x 4-phase, and so type is SDI, and then I select simply the different phase according to which SDI physical port they are connected to. So SDI 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up to 8. We are supporting up to 8 phase. And you can see here, typically, let me put that mode. If I'm here live on PGM1, I can, decrease the speed and show you, 12%. I have a loop on the second program at 50%, 25%. Then I can ramp up. So to set up, it's very easy. You just type setup, enter the setup configuration. It loads the data. Then you have, for one camera, you allocate 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 6 times, 8 times, and then you select the different phases for the camera and you want to record. As easy as that.
Okay, thank you. So I think we have no questions left. I will share my screen again. So then if you have any further questions, so please get in contact with us, with JP or me, for any following questions. So I hope you enjoyed the webinar. If there are no questions left, then we will say thank you for joining the webinar and have a great day.